Hello, in this video I'd like to show you how to use the publish component. It's still under development, but this will be the basic use of it. You'll find it in the publish section of RADii up here, and just like all the other components, it requires a connection. And then you can see it requires a series of URLs that points to sound files on the internet. That means there will be reference to a file anywhere on the internet. In the version that I'm working on, you can also those URLs can also be local paths. And the difference is that if it's a local path, that sound file will be embedded into the RADii file, and in case it's a URL, it will be a reference to a sound file. So you can sort of choose whether it's embedded in or a reference that can be changed at a later point. It could also be in a situation where you want to share the same sound file with a lot of people, and they can simply just reference the same sound file without embedding them in all of them. But in this case, I'm referencing a few sound files that I have on my own server here. There's a sound file of a few people talking together, then there's a conversation between these two people here, and then there's the sound of ambient sound of a road. So let's feed them in here, and then you can see immediately generates 3 default sound envelopes, and they are all located in the center of the world, and you can see what they are referencing, what file they are referencing, or file on the internet they are referencing. And you can also see that it has a default outer envelope of the sound, which is 10 meters in this case here, and an inner envelope of 5 meters. And the inner envelope is the green sphere in here, and this indicates if you're within this sphere or inner envelope, the sound volume is at 100%. And then it gradually graduates from the inner to the outer as you move in and out of those spheres. So those will be the default if you don't define an outer envelope. But let's define an outer envelope of these sounds. So if I select a few circles, and this simply just defines a center and a radius of the sound. So this conversation is maybe to here, and then there's a small conversation over here, and then there's the sound of the cars over here, which is a little bit larger like this. And then when you feed them in, you can see them immediately snap into place where they're supposed to be. So this is the sound of somebody talking. This is the conversation. And this is the sound of the road. If I wanted to, for example, change one of them, the inner envelope, otherwise by default it will be half of the outer envelope. But let's just say I want to change the first one here. So let's feed that in. And then you can change the inner envelope of that particular sound. If I had 3 of them, I could of course define them for all of them. And if I remove it, it just simply snaps back to half the outer envelope. So beyond that, on the component itself, you can see you have some options for how the sound should behave in the viewer. The default is that it will play once it is triggered in the scene. And that can be triggered by publishing, like I'm going to show you in a minute here. But it could also be in a scenario where you trigger some sounds at a particular scenario. Then you can also choose that the sounds are to play on enter. That means once you enter the outer envelope, that sound will play. You can also choose that it should stop on exit. That means when you exit the sphere, it will end. You can also just say it should play on enter, and then it'll just keep on playing. Then you can so you can mix and match these in different combinations, and then whether the sound should loop and whether the sound should be spatial. But I'll show you what that is in a minute here. But these are the default sound settings of the component. So let's just make this a bit smaller here, and then open a viewer here. Let's make it a little bit smaller here. So here I have just a regular viewer, and once I hit this button here, it will publish it all, both the geometry up here of course, and now you can hear the sound. And if I move closer here, of course you can hear the conversation between these two guys here.
Just going down the toilet.
Yeah, he's not happy. And then there's this collection of people here talking here, and if I move closer to the cars, you can hear it go into the audio of this. And if I, for example, stand here, you can hear that they are talking on my left side if you have earphones on. But let's say I make the sound non-spatial. Now it's unequal on both speakers. That means it's not coming from a particular direction, it's just omnipresent in the room. But it still reacts to your distance to it. That means the further you are away, the more the sound dampens. So here I'm standing next to it here, and if I turn it spatial, you can immediately hear it's on my left side that they are talking to each other. You can of course also say that they shouldn't play, and then you can move around as well, and then you can play them. But let's try the triggers now. So let's instead just place these circles in a line here. So let's make the first conversation here, and then the other conversation here, and then the third, the ambient of the street here. And now it snaps into place. And if I go over here, you can hear the talking of the crowd, and then the small conversation around here, and then the street here. But let's say I turn it into a trigger. That means it will play on enter, and yeah, let's just try that. So let's move closer to the cars here, and then they start, and then the conversation, and then the talk here. So let's say it should also stop on exit. So now I go to the first conversation, and then it stops, and then the conversation here, and then the street. So this could be a place where, for example, if somebody were to narrate something, that will be the trigger here. And of course if you move faster on or further on, it should maybe just stop once you're done. And you can see here it simply just reacts immediately to the changes that I have. Just like if I were to change the circles of them, it just reacts immediately to the new geometry. So let's set the first one again here, here, and the other one here. Oh, and now it snaps into place. And also in the very last bit here, it also comes in as a small sound here that you can turn on and off, just like any other geometry. You can also choose here not to subscribe to sounds if you don't want to. That's it for now.